Hey, how's it going?
Good. It's quite early for me this morning, and yeah,
Oh, I appreciate it. What time is it for you, Charles?
it's like 8:30. But I'm a late riser. I sleep a lot typically, and yeah, I was quite in a rush this morning, but excited to speak to you because CoSell was quite cool.
Oh no, yeah, no, I'm excited to chat with you too. And
Mhm.
yeah, super nice to meet you.
Yes, yes, yes.
Um,
Let me put my camera here.
oh, cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm actually just in a hotel right now,
Okay,
in Weatherford, Texas, for having to go to a wedding this weekend. So,
okay, okay.
yeah,
Nice.
but
You'll
yeah,
probably have some fun. Weddings are cool. I haven't been to one of them yet. I'm quite young, as you might see, and well, my one of my co-founders is having his next year, but must be quite cool.
yeah, no, looking forward to it. I'm going to be getting married myself. And yeah, and so was this going to be a video podcast or
We
a
can have it
audio
video.
only?
Yeah,
Okay.
both ways are cool. Like whatever's best. My connection is not epic here either. I'm in the Mexican mountains here, so I mean, view's beautiful, have garden, and it's kind of paradise. But yeah, Wi-Fi sucks. So
Oh, where in Mexico are you?
I'm in Morelia, Michoacan. So it's like 3 hours, 8 hours. Let me see, west, 8 hours west of Mexico City.
Oh, awesome. Cool. That's great. Yeah, I've been meaning to make it out to like central Mexico. I've heard it's just awesome. I've always gone to the coast. So,
Which one? Like the East Coast, I guess, like Cancun,
but
Tulum.
yeah, Cancun, Tulum. Like our wedding's going to be in Puerto Vallarta.
Nice,
Go to Cabo quite a bit.
nice.
So, but
Been to all of those places. Porto, I didn't like that much. Was it was really commercial.
mhm.
Cabos too, but Cabos was a bit better. I did the half Ironman there.
Oh, cool.
Beautiful place, and obviously to do diving, it's quite cool. I'd recommend you try Huatulco, which is like way down in the Oaxaca state. Have you ever been to Oaxaca state?
No, I haven't.
My wife's from there, and it's quite magical. So you'll want to do the city Oaxaca, and then head out to the west coast. It's like really not commercial and beautiful and like magical slash cultural experience. Really recommend.
Yeah, no, it sounds awesome. I'm trying to get the lighting in here to be a little better. That's okay.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's cool.
Yeah, cool.
Ready to roll. Ready to start.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so hey Pete, Charles here with his tired face. Glad to have you in the podcast. EcoCell, I mean, CoSell was quite interesting to me for so many reasons. So can you introduce yourself, introduce CoSell, and tell a bit more about that beautiful company?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Charles. Yeah, so I'm Pete Ryan, co-founder and co-CEO at CoSell. It's a lot of co's in one sentence, but um, based in Austin, Texas, second time founder. Outside of being a founder, I've held like various sales and sales leadership roles
Yeah.
at companies like LinkedIn, Oracle,
Mhm.
Double Dutch, Trello, Atlassian.
Trello.
Yeah, with the product that everyone loves. Like
Yep.
I haven't talked to many people that have said, "Oh, I'm not a fan of Trello."
Yeah, you can't hate on
Amazing.
Trello. It's free. Like,
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and it's the NPS for Trello is like through the roof, right? Like
okay.
people that use it are just fanatical about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a really fun product to
Okay.
sell, right?
Yeah.
Because it's talking to happy users all the time. And so anyways, maybe it'd be helpful if I just gave you like the story of CoSell and like why
Yeah.
we founded the company.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I'm over at Trello, and Trello gets acquired by Atlassian in
Yeah.
January 2017.
Yeah.
And at first there was like this shock, right? Of like, oh shit, we're and then there was this excitement that kind of happened shortly thereafter, which is, wow, like Trello has 500 enterprise customers. Atlassian has, over 100,000 total customers. We can certainly leverage the Atlassian ecosystem, right, of customers just to get like warm introductions and referrals into all those accounts. And what I was expecting to happen was that we were both on two separate Salesforce instances, and we were
Mhm.
going to we would merge like both Salesforces, so we'd be able
Yeah.
to see, okay, here's the rep that owns Pepsi on the Atlassian side, right? But what ended up happening is we still stayed on like two different Salesforce instances. I
Okay.
found out that it's actually really, really difficult and expensive to merge the two.
Yeah.
And the best we could end up doing to drive referrals was a Slack channel called Referrals for Sales, right?
Okay.
So I would go in there every day and say, hey, who owns the Walmart account on the Atlassian side? And then Jill would raise her hand and say, oh, it's me. Let me make an introduction to my point of contact.
Okay.
And we kept on doing that and doing that. And and so we built CoSell to solve this problem, which is allowing for companies that are going after the same market that are not competitive, or even companies that have acquired other companies, right? And kind of surfacing where these prospect and customer overlaps exist.
Yeah.
And so we founded CoSell in December 2020. We raised a $2 million seed round from Pivot North and Saster Fund. And what we discovered really over the last 6 months is that companies coming together and partnering up is the time to value is like months,
Okay.
even sometimes years, right? And so shortly a couple months ago, we decided, okay, well, why does a partnership, right, have to be between two companies? Why can't it be between a company and another individual that's
Okay.
invested in that company?
Good
And
idea.
so we've actually kind of, I think our vision is still the same, but our mission is different now, right? Our
Okay.
mission is all about creating these exclusive networks, right, of your investors, right,
Okay.
of your, of your advisors, of your
Okay.
internal execs in the company, right?
Okay.
People that are invested in your success. Let's expose their networks to, right, so they can best support them. And I think there's been a few big waves that have happened, like in the evolution of sales, right?
Okay.
I think certainly, if you look 10, 15 years ago, like early days in my career, I remember I would just be on face-to-face meetings all day, every day, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of evolved then to a lot of like brute force and like sales automation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so as getting meetings has just gotten harder, automation kind of kicked in. It's like, well, let's just send more emails, make more phone calls, and we'll set more meetings, right? And certainly it's kind of to the point where there's so much competition in the market. It's like they have these lofty goals, and so they're all doing this, right? And customers are fatigued, and so obviously COVID hit us in 2020, and that's also completely changed the landscape of how companies are going to market and how they have to go to market. And so, our belief, the next big wave is really relationship selling. There's really no effective way to do that at scale. I think if you look at LinkedIn as kind of being, the incumbent in the space, to say, they had this opportunity to solve for this problem, but so noisy, right? And so, we're essentially, the graph is out there, right? For we're calling, anyone you want to partner with a co-seller. The graph of all your co-sellers are out there, but there's really no platform until CoSell that allows for you to unlock those network graphs. And certainly, if you're a rep on a team, sorry, I'm rambling off now, man. Sorry, Charles, I'll pause there. But
no,
obviously,
I mean, that's perfect.
You can tell I'm passionate about what we're working on.
No, I know that. I have a bunch of questions because obviously you have like a very interesting background. I mean, I don't know even where to start, but let's keep that one flowing because it's highly interesting. I'm not sure if you check my background, but I'm in
Yep.
sales too, and we have a lot in common. So relationship selling, yes, highly interesting. Obviously, you've worked at LinkedIn, so you probably tried it yourself. We still do a bunch of LinkedIn outreach here. I was a LinkedIn outreach agency like a couple of years ago. We stopped because LinkedIn started putting restriction. And yes, the quantity thing is kind of true. Yet here we try to play like 80% quality and 20% quantity. I think that you can brute force things when you start anything in life with quantity, but you need to let go of it because it's just not scalable. Um, to summarize CoSell, I'm Charles from TopLeads. I'm on the platform by well tried for sure because yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
a really cool tool. And say I'm in contact with this account exec from this other company that I invited to my podcast, and he's a really knowledgeable salesperson, and he says, hey, I've got this client for you, and I think he'd be interested in TopLeads and doing his outsource SDR. Can I connect you to that person? Um, then what's the dealio? Like he gets a cut from what I close, and what do you guys get?
Yeah. So how the platform works is like you would essentially create your own hub
Yeah,
of co-sellers, and
yeah.
really that can be anyone in your network that has an invested interest in your company.
Okay,
So investors are, that's the first place you go, right? Is you go
okay.
to your investors because they're already offering up like, hey, we want to help. We have a
Yeah,
big
they do
network.
that naturally, no?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
they do it naturally. Advisors are another place. Internal execs are another place. And then even partners, right?
Okay.
Partners of yours could be, value-added resellers or tech partners, but more like individuals, right? Within those orgs.
Okay.
And so I think for us, like the problem we're trying to solve is more exposing the network graph and
Okay.
less about like the payouts of
Okay.
referrals, right?
Okay.
I think certainly, that could be somewhere where we go, possibly, at some point, if you want to create, a referral agreement with a partner, and
Okay.
then deal closes, you get paid out through the platform.
So
But
it's internally, it's really like in the company, like I haven't raised funds so far. I have a quick question for you too. Like what's the difference between an investor and an advisor? I know Tim Ferriss was an advisor to
yep.
some companies, and I always see a bunch of my prospects advise. What's the difference?
Yeah. So, an investor is obviously, someone that's putting capital in your company and getting equity in return. An
Okay.
advisor is someone that is, providing you with advice and or,
Okay.
a network,
Okay.
for equity, right? So they're not putting money in your company, but,
Okay. Okay.
and so, if, like in your case, congrats on not raising, by the way.
I will
It's
raise though,
awesome.
like I will raise for sure. Well, I mean, I have a bunch of thesis and I'm checking with my lawyer and my CFO, but I mean, we want to be $100 million company in 3 years. And I mean, to do that, you need to acquire, you need to get massive capital to do that. And I want to create the largest startup ecosystem in the world. So, and I guess, capital is a tool like Naval Ravikant says, like
Yep.
there's the human leverage that I fully use. I have a nice HR machine, but yeah, the capital thing can be used definitely as a very strong leverage. That is, if you master it. Now, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's so like case dependent, right? On whether or not, raising capital makes sense.
Mhm.
I think, um, I one of my advisors and mentors, Scott Klein, He essentially bootstrapped Status Page,
Okay.
and Status Page ended up getting acquired by Atlassian.
Okay.
And I think had Atlassian approached him and said, "Hey, we're looking to acquire your company," and he had raised a bunch of capital,
Okay.
he might not have been able to sell, right? Because that's just you know typically investors are not looking for for first base hits. They're
Yeah.
looking for home runs, and
Yeah.
for Scott it
That's
was
the
a great
thing.
outcome, right? So it's all case dependent. And I think there's been so many success stories of companies that have bootstrapped. I think even Atlassian you could consider to be one of those companies, right? They didn't
Well, it's a
this
behemoth. Atlassian's a behemoth. It's a huge company. Huge.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, the founders there really hadn't raised until they were just about to go public, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
incredible. Like
Hmm.
bootstrapping to public, going public is, I mean, that's incredible.
It
It's
is like how did he freaking do that? Actually, I'm gonna study his playbook because yeah, and he raised right before the IPO just to clear a debt or something or what?
yeah, actually, I don't know the full story there, but in all intents and purposes, you can essentially say that Atlassian was bootstrapped to IPO, right?
That's
So
just incredible. Yeah, like a lot of success stories, lots of horror stories too. Like, and I think horror, the ratio is like 80-20. Well, I mean, um, for example, I'm listening to an audiobook right now. It's Jewel, the company Jewel,
yeah,
not a company that I think I would ethically start, but still an interesting business case. And like most like most successful companies you read about, that the CEOs got booted of the company by the investors. I mean, it's something to suck as a CEO. It's hard to be a CEO. Read a lot of CEO stuff. I think these guys, they grew too fast, it's just like an adolescent growing in the small body, like he bring him to the gym and he's gonna break a muscle or something. These guys, they're pretty much nerds, technical, and they just have a hard time being CEO. That's one thing, but I think it's really it hurts a lot for a founder of a company to be booted out of your own company. Just imagine the feeling,
right.
I never want that to happen to me ever.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's plenty of stories of that, right? And so, yeah, I think whether to raise and not to raise, it's like so case dependent, it's so dependent on the business too. But yeah, tell me more about TopLeads.
TopLeads is an outsourced SDR agency. We basically work with a bunch of SaaS, like yours, and we fill your calendars with meetings. So we specialize in email. Okay, so
Yep.
we only do like email outreach, and we're pretty dang good at it. It's basically a copywriting game, and like using a bunch of tools to aggregate data and send great emails to those people. I mean, you've been in that world a
Yeah,
lot, so
yeah.
you know
We
SDR.
we need to get your SDRs on CoSell, right? Because like ultimately, if they can see where other co-sellers or where your co-sellers can open up a door into an account,
Yeah,
like yeah, they can check that avenue first, and then if that avenue doesn't bear fruit, then also send emails, right? So I think it's at the end of the day, there's so many different channels to reach customers.
yeah,
And so um email, phone, LinkedIn, referrals, I mean, these are all different channels, and I don't think they're not used, they shouldn't be used like mutually exclusively, right? Just
yeah. All
it's
together. That is, I
yeah.
mean, focusing is always cool. Also in sales, like you don't want to go like in 10 other channels until you master one. That's kind of a rule we have. But obviously, when you master each one of them and you use them all together, it's beneficial, it's complementary, and it's super duper powerful. I want to make sure I understand CoSell though.
Yeah.
So okay, um, I guess it's for big companies with investors, right? Or well, I mean, does it need to be? But there needs to be like a bunch of people in a company with like different network graphs, like you call them, and say I'm an investor and I know this guy, I'm gonna refer him to my SDR, and what's gonna happen then inside CoSell?
Yeah. So it CoSell can be used really by any company, right? Um, and so yeah, what I recommend, right, for any company that hasn't raised funding is
Yeah.
to build like a team of advisors, right? And
Mhm.
so, give these, basically carve out 1 to 2% of your company, right?
Okay.
Just for advisors, right?
How many of
And
them, like for 1-2%?
so you could have ultimately 100 advisors for one to two
Really?
percent. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, you know, each advisor, right? For you, right? I'm sure you're selling, like CROs, VPs of sales for the
Yeah.
most part.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there that have, been in the sales game for, 20, 30
Yeah.
years. They've built this huge Rolodex, right,
Yeah. Yep.
of
Yep.
CROs, VPs of sales, they're that they know super
Mhm,
well,
mhm.
and
Yeah.
these folks know them. And so, bringing them on as advisors, and getting them invested in your company and your product. And then, from there, like, what we do is we take a snapshot of their network, right? And so their network, and then we enrich all of that data, and we say, okay, here's a list of 100 CROs, VPs of sales that, this co-seller that you're connected with can essentially walk you into accounts, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's, you could do this for your own sales, right, at TopLeads, and then in parallel you could probably do it for your customers, right? It's
Yeah.
like, and so, yeah, I would say our website copy right now doesn't reflect everything that I'm saying. We're in the midst of
Yeah.
doing a
Yeah.
full product overhaul and, copy overhaul. But, um, at the end of the day, right, it's all about, as like, just, breaking into accounts, right? It's we're both going after arguably just $1 trillion market. It's so massive, right?
Yeah.
Demand gen, lead
Well,
gen.
referrals
It's
the
yeah.
future of sales. In an ideal world, like people would only refer like other customer. When you refer someone, well, I mean, first you do it for reasons because you think the product is good and you want some social credit for that, and the company will have an incredibly easy time to close that lead, right? Like I get a bunch of referrals, and these guys they close incredibly rapidly, and moreover they are really good clients, they stay with me and they refer me other clients. So yeah, I guess it's really the future of sales there. How much would I pay for CoSell? I guess it's on a monthly basis, right?
Yeah. So it's a monthly basis. And we have different tiers, right? Really based on the number of contacts that you have inside of the product.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I'm not going to say our pricing is complicated. We've been like trying to make it as simple as possible, but, yeah, like very shortly we'll have basically a calculator on our website where, you'll be able to determine the overall cost of using the product.
Yeah, yeah. I was wondering, did you have like a good 10 minutes in front of you, or are you back to back? Because I had a couple more questions for you.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I can stay on.
Okay. I was looking at your LinkedIn here. You started collegiate washing.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about that one, because I tried to my first like entrepreneurial stint was mobile car wash. My dad's an entrepreneur, and he's actually a marketing consultant. And I was like a bum at this time, probably like 16 or 17. And was like, yeah, let's start a business, And I did this mobile car wash thing with my friend, but he actually bought, the pickup trailer and everything. We printed flyers. My dad helped us with the flyers and everything, but this is where it stopped, because we never even launched, we never even washed a car, because we sucked at sales, and that's such a good lesson. um, for most people out there. I still remember that I had this fear, like right in the middle of my chest. And obviously that was before I started cold calling. But without sales, I mean, you can't do much. So tell me about like that experience, because obviously you were successful. You did that for 8 years.
Yeah, yeah. Happy to tell you about collegiate washing. One thing I do want to add is I don't know if you knew this, but the founder of Bird, right? Like Bird scooters.
Yeah.
Yeah, his name is Travis
Okay.
Vander
Yeah.
Zanden.
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
and so yeah, he's based out of SF. And before he founded Bird, I remember he started this company called Cherry,
Okay.
and essentially it was like mobile car
Okay.
washes, right? And so they would come to your directly to your car. They had like this mobile kind of kit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm wondering like if there's still a business there, right? Because like I'm thinking through right now like how dirty my car is, and I wish I could just have an app and like while I'm at work or whatever, they would
There
come over and
is, there is, man. I was in Canada like 5 months ago, and there were these kids doing the exact same thing that I was supposed to do, and they were way more scrappy than I was. They didn't even buy the pickup truck. They did it in a bicycle with a trailer behind the bicycle. So
oh
props
wow,
to them. Yeah.
yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, there it's certainly a market. Yeah, I wonder if there ends up being like some regulatory issues, right? Like where does the water go? Or maybe it's just, who knows?
I
But
don't think so. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's a bit extreme. Like, definitely not Uber type of problems. Or I mean, birds. They can be liable for if someone face plants in on with their scooter or something. But yeah, regulatory is quite interesting. Did you read about this Bradley Tusk guy?
oh no.
So he's the guy that steps in, when there's regulatory problems in big companies like Uber, and I think he did another there that my memory will bring it back. But basically, he asks for equity because the guy charges like, I think it's minimum like 50 or 80K per month, and instead he just comes in and asks for shares, and he ended up getting like a huge effing chunk of shares from Uber, and Uber, being what they are right now, I think he's worth a lot. But that's definitely like an interesting niche, a very small niche, and he's probably the only guy that does that, like in the valley, in exchange of shares, and I found that pretty cool, and was inspired with TopLeads, because obviously we're a service business. We're launching SaaS, and we have other business model here. We want to create, this ecosystem, but I think like more agencies should take like shares of companies in exchange of their service.
Yeah, no, 100%. And everyone shares the upside, right? I mean, that's what's huge. And it's everyone's invested.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so collegiate washing, right? So founded it right, yeah, when I was 15, couldn't even
Okay.
like drive myself to any of the jobs. So, I'd have my parents drop me off.
Yeah,
But I started off with like garage cleaning, right?
yeah,
So I
yeah,
grew up in Chicago, and in the winters, right, you kind of track in all this salt and dirt and
yeah,
snow that just kind of
yeah.
melts off your car, and your garage by
The
summer is just
slush.
total mess.
Yeah,
Yeah, slush, the whole thing. And so we'd go in, we'd take everything out, we'd power wash your garage, so on and so forth. and then, over the course of, what was it? I thought it was 6 years, maybe 6, 8 years, something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
We moved into window washing, and then garage epoxy and deck staining.
Mhm.
And so, that it was a ton of fun, running the business. And, I really did learn a lot about marketing and sales, and, hiring and managing and coaching people. And so, by the last year, we, I think ended up doing, I think 30K in revenue, which isn't bad, right?
It's really
For
good for a kid. Really good.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So, but it's funny, right? You go back to college, and, you think you're balling, so you're buying everyone drinks at the bar, and then your money's gone,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but, anyways,
I've been there, done that too. Like
so,
my strategy at the
yeah,
time was, yeah. So that was my first failed business, but then I got like in through the very early days of drop shipping, when like I'm not even talking about like having a website here, just talking about buying stuff from AliExpress and reselling like 10 to 50 times the price in Canada on kijiji.com .ca. But yeah, I've been there. And then from there you've moved to SF, like straight up. How did that happen?
yeah. My folks ended up moving to San Diego. So I was,
Okay.
I was actually, in a bar in San Diego, which, by the way, like, there's very few times in your life where you're like, oh yeah, that bar experience, that was really life changing. But this really was. So I'm in a bar in San Diego, and I meet this guy, Rob Brown,
Okay.
who was over at Oracle. And, I'm like this, kid from the Midwest, and had really like no knowledge of technology, right? I knew I
Okay.
was like super interested in it,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I started talking to him, and we hit it off. And then, he ended up, making an introduction to a recruiter at Oracle. And, I ended up landing there. And so, Oracle was like a great first job out of college, and,
Yeah.
learned a ton. Um, you know, and that obviously parlayed over to LinkedIn, which, that I was just super lucky to have joined when I
Yeah, I
did.
mean, LinkedIn in early days, LinkedIn started like 2006, if my memory is good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, like, really, like, starting to take off in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been like 2002, but like, it
Okay.
was this kind of bumpy road of, just capturing users. And then,
Yeah.
by 2007, 2008, that's,
Mm-hmm.
2008 really, is when they first started to, fully monetize, their recruiting products on LinkedIn.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So,
Okay. Did you work with Reid Hoffman a bit? Like, did you get to know him?
I wouldn't say I didn't get to know him like super well, right? Because, they put us sales guys in a completely separate office on campus. But,
Okay.
I had lunch with him. That was cool. Um, very super brilliant guy. I guess at the time I was in my 20s, and I asked him like these really generic questions, like, where do you think the internet's going? And he's like, I don't know where to start, but,
Yeah.
yeah, really, amazing leader. And just, such an incredible, like, 0 to 1 founder.
Yeah,
And,
definitely. Were there a clash between sales and product? Like typically, nerds vs not cool guys. Like, was there a clash at LinkedIn with those two departments?
I wouldn't say so. Like, I felt like, LinkedIn, um, LinkedIn was, just from the very start, right, so obsessive about, vision, values, right?
Okay.
To
Yeah.
where, compassion, right, was like one of those core tenets to how the company was run and operated. And so, yeah, it felt like, you'd go in the office with this like warm and fuzzy feeling, and you'd leave feeling the same way. And like, it was just an awesome place to work,
Okay.
especially in the earlier days, right? It's like,
Yeah.
employee employee 200 or something. So it's not super early, but pretty early.
And then you went, well, I mean, Double Dutch, I don't know the company, but looks pretty straightforward. Sold mobile event to CMOs. And but like I want to know about like the 500 startups. Like, is that the incubator you went to Forge Go Hire, or was it
Yeah.
another startup that you pivoted? Like, tell me more about this one.
Yeah. So I left Double Dutch and I knew, okay, I'm 26. I want to start my own company. It's
Yeah,
time, right? I started off creating a company called Workvoice, which is
okay.
basically a like employee engagement survey company,
Yeah.
kind of like a culture amp type company. And then we ended up doing a pivot because we saw this like opportunity for companies looking to hire salespeople. Like job
Yeah.
boards are noisy, LinkedIn's noisy. Let's just acquire like the top salespeople, put them all on one platform,
Yeah.
and then create this kind of marketplace for hiring sales talent.
Mhm.
And so we grew that to like a million ARR, 200 million GMV.
Nice.
I think that there were a few things like personally, right, that were going on. Like, my mom had passed, I'd lost two friends, like all within a span of like 6 months to a
Ah,
year.
that happens like to a
Oh,
lot of humans, and it's so hard those periods in life. So hard. I've got a lot
yeah.
of mortality this year too, like not so
Uh,
long ago. And yeah, how did you get up that slump?
I'm first off, I'm sorry to hear that. I think you you can't just, I think it's if you fight it, it'll take longer. You kind of just you know you float downstream, and then eventually the storm passes. I think
Yeah.
that's just what happens. And I think certainly, like, being a founder it's like you're climbing Everest, right? It's one of
Yep.
the hardest thing. It's some days it feels insurmountable, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And when you have those things, personal things happen, I think it just just weighs on you.
Yeah.
Therapy helped a lot,
Yep. Yep.
honestly.
Yep.
So I even recommend every founder on the planet to see either a business coach or therapist, just
Yeah.
because you know you need to.
Yeah, it
It's
never hurts to talk to someone. It helps so much because it's lonely at the top. It's really, really lonely. I mean, I've been nowadays, I wrote something yesterday. I write a lot of emails and blogs and all that. And nowadays I'm a bit less lonely because I have, an executive team, like execs,
yeah,
VPs, COOs to talk to other leaders,
yeah,
but I've been lonely for quite a while in my bootstrap company, like being solo founder in that one, TopLeads, and basically not having a lot of educated and smart people that can show like high leadership, and that can make a person crazy, because obviously you won't tell your assistant or your junior SDR how you
yeah,
feel, and even if you would tell them, they wouldn't understand. So business coach is quite good for that, therapist too, to release emotions. I've got this cool thing to it's called Wim Hof Breathing. Basically, like it helps you release emotion through respiration, and that can be a good one, to feel more energized too, and then get over slumps.
yeah, yeah. And so is that yeah, I assume that's more like meditation. Is that what that is? Or
It's rapid respiration, so it's like
okay. Oh, I see.
it's like
Got it.
hyperventilating. You do it like
Yeah.
50 times, and
Okay.
you hold for like a
Okay.
minute and a half, 2 minutes. I'll send you a video. It's like it's game
Yeah.
changer, game changer. Wherever
Really. Okay.
anytime you feel low energy during your day, I don't know. It's like you just had a long meeting and you don't have any energy. Me, I just go up on my roof here under the sun and breathe daily. It's like
Yeah.
it's like an espresso coffee, and
Yeah.
it also helps release emotions. It's really odd. Not sure how to explain it, but for example, the other day I finished this round and I let go of a shout. "Ah!" And where did that came from? That
Yeah.
was like some kind of anger stuck up in
Yeah.
somewhere in my body, because the body takes um, emotions, and that's how trauma happens. Like
Yeah.
people get trauma, and it's stuck somewhere in their body. I'm a health freak, by the way, like Biohacker. I have my supplement company, so I'll surely send you some of that, but definitely a game changer. And yeah, like therapy, I mean, huge.
Yeah.
It's if you want to go like 10x speed, 100x speed, you need to talk to someone. You need to release that. You need to. I mean, I have this nice sentence too. I think they call it onopono in Hawaiian, which is like, I love you, I'm sorry, I forgive you, thank you. If someone like angered you in your day, and you say that sentence, I love you, I'm sorry, I forgive you, thank you, I mean, you just moved on, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because in sales, I mean, you do a ton of phone calls, you
It
get
can be
rejected a
a
lot. Yeah.
manic or depressive job, right? It's a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
highs and lows and but
Higher
no,
than a CEO's job, like pretty similar to, I would say, because yes, it's hard. I think you kind of develop that thick skin, but
yeah.
you need to let go. Like a great soldier won't carry like lots of weight. Like he will let go of anything that's not useful. And like you said, climbing Everest is another good analogy. I want to climb Everest in the next couple of years, like literally. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's hard. Obviously, lots of people die there too.
Yeah.
Like lots of founders burn out.
Yeah.
And it's a topic that not enough of us talk openly, because
Yeah.
we're like manly, and yeah, like no, I don't want to talk about it, and
Right.
that's sad. I think like most founders, that's their strategy. Hustle, 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 don't have much fun, be it like almost in that depressive state for like 5 years, and bite the bullet and then exit. And then what? You have this
Yeah.
money, but you're fucking destroyed internally. You don't
Yeah, for
you,
sure.
you don't even have enough to live life and enjoy the fruit of your work. So that's not scalable. I definitely don't advise that.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic that you're into that as well. And yeah, you talked about biohacking. Is that what you had mentioned?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
biohack a lot.
what do you mean by that?
So I'm obsessed with like optimizing my
Health?
body. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I just wrote. I have a meeting soon, so we'll need
Yeah.
to end it up in like 5 minutes. Um, I eat once a day, so that's the first
Oh,
thing
intermittent
that
fasting or what is,
yeah,
yeah.
and it's called OMAD, 1 meal a day. I just found that like for productivity, like I think Jack Dorsey discovered it not so long ago too. I've been doing that for the past like 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
and it's pretty damn cool because first thing, okay, like when I have a breakfast in the morning, I if I do, I have it on the weekend. I don't during the week, but I want to enjoy it, and I try to maximize sleep, right? So like I sleep a lot, and I don't have time in the morning for a breakfast. Like I go walk the dogs and everything. And if I'm gonna eat a stressed out breakfast, like let's not eat it. So that's the first thesis there. Second one is that yeah, like obviously when you fast, you have those things popping up in your body after a while. It's called ketones, and this is great energy. And I mean, I still drink some caffeine. Like I stopped drinking coffee during the week not so long ago, but I'll drink yerba mate, I'll drink teas and all of that, and my energy will be epic. It will be through
Yeah,
the roof.
sustained.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then I work out twice a day, get my sun exposure, like vitamin D. So my testosterone's always like high. Testosterone is quite good, but you need to again be careful. Not more careful than you need to be with cortisol, which is like the founder killer. Cortisol is really like where founder get anxious and do like stupid things and snap at
Right.
people. But testosterone, I mean, you can. like you can get quite dominant, way too dominant in a company, and too aggressive, and like not let others speak when you have meetings. So like I'm careful about all of these things. Have you like got some tricks of your own, some biohacks
Well,
of your own?
yeah, I'll share my screen real quick.
Yeah, go
So,
ahead.
yeah,
I
my
know levels. They're
oh, levels,
great.
cool, awesome, yeah. So I just ordered one of these.
Okay.
My former CTO, interim CTO, Scott Klein. I think I talked to him about him, talked to you about him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's over here now, and he
Okay.
can. I was on a call with him yesterday. He's like, "Hey, you got to check this out," because I am
They're
looking to
cool.
shed some weight before the wedding in December. So, it yeah, I'm excited to check it out and use it. But I think that's just like one, but I love what you're sharing around like the 2-day workout, the sun, getting enough vitamin D, and you know, something I need to work on. I find like if I don't do it in the morning, right? If I don't do a workout in the morning, then I just won't do it, right? Because I'll
Yeah.
get so like wrapped up in the day.
Yes, yes,
But
yes.
yeah, how do you like carve out time to do, not one workout, but two,
Yes. So like first, life is always imperfect. I'm a digital nomad, so it's like I travel a lot in Mexico right now with the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a this in itself is a hack, to change environment every month or two, like more 2 months, because we like slow traveling, and my habits change. I have this Spartan Race Ultra coming up in 2 months. This is a pretty damn tough race,
Yeah.
but not as hard as an Ironman. So like the Spartan race is 50 kilometers in the woods. It's trails. It's not
Wow.
a normal marathon. Okay, it's way fucking harder. And it's in the mountains, and there's 26 obstacles. So like I need to start preparing for that, right? This is the 22nd of September, so it's precisely in 2 months. I don't over prepare for things in life, but the point is right now my schedule changed. So like right now I just adopted this little dog that's right next to me here,
Yeah.
and we have three others in the backyard here. That is the owner as dogs, but I mean they're just like my dogs. I have them walk on a daily basis. So I don't do exercise now in the morning. I just walk and it's uphill. So I can't count that as an exercise. And then I go for a second walk down the river in the woods after I'm done working. Um, and finally I have this 10-minute hit, so that will probably change too, but that's like my physical activity habit. And then on the weekend I do something really damn hard, like I go to the paint train and go for like an hour or two run in the woods, like at maximum intensity. And how do I carve out this time? Well, I start my day at like I think 10 a.m. here, which is 11 EST. I prioritize sleep, and this is all in my agenda. And then my days, they're pretty much crazy, as I get like 10 to 30 meetings on a daily basis, but I like it that way. But when it stops, it stops. I close down the
Yeah.
computer and I eat with my wife and go for a walk with the dog. I disconnect,
Yeah.
because I think like most founders have a problem with that. Anxiety. We always think about things, and that's like me mostly what I've been working on in the past few months successfully, I could say, because yeah, I don't worry much. And there's a bunch of biohacks I could tell you, like microdosing psilocybin. That's
Hmm.
another good one that I could tell
Hmm.
you about. Basically, we're in the mountains here, and it's like there's a lot of humidity, and there's those magic little shrooms, that most people used to go on trips. But
Yeah.
microdosing, it's not the same thing at all. It just makes you it scrapes the anxiety away, if I could like describe it. And I'm experimenting with that, and so far so good. But yeah, we'll definitely need to talk more, because I've got a whole bunch of these. This is another good one. San
Pellegrino.
Pellegrino. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, best mineral content water ever, available pretty much everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And when you're fasting, you need those minerals in your blood so that you can go on, else you'll have like a horrible headache. I don't have headache even if I don't drink it, because I've been doing it for years. But I mean, you need all those minerals, for example, magnesium for sleep and all of that to perform right. So yeah, like I'd love to share, and I'd love to hop on another call with you to
would love to.
Yeah, to discuss all of that. You're obviously a fascinating dude. You have a lot of
likewise.
yeah.
I really enjoyed this. I appreciate you having me.
I enjoyed it too. I mean, this podcast is quite short, but like, yeah, I'd love to talk about more about Trello, Atlassian, and obviously CoSell. and I just signed up, so please accept my request so I can get in.
Yeah, we're probably like 4 to 6 weeks from like launching our new product. So you know, I'd love to get you in at that point. Sure. Yeah, we're doing this whole co-seller experience, and so yeah, but yeah, let's do it. And I enjoyed this conversation.
Have awesome. A nice wedding, man. If you drink, make sure to drink a lot of that too.
Pellegrino, that's right. Yeah,
Pellegrino, and yeah, a bunch of other things like for hangover, basically like a sun exposure. That hit the gym if you can, and yeah, have a lot of fun, man. Because life is limited. Memento mori.
That's right. I love it. Well, hey, listen, right. Thanks a lot, Charles. Super nice to meet you.
Yes.
And, yeah, great convo, and have good luck on your race.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.